So before we go out to see the bees, and given we're online rather than in a lecture hall, I thought I'd give you a demonstration of some of the equipment I use. First, we're going to have a look at a worry hive. So here's the floor and stand screwed together with a Varroa mesh floor and the usual type of insert you'd find in any normal hive. I'll insert an entrance block. Varroa can be a problem in top bar hives, but nothing like as much as it can be in many other hives. So it's always worth keeping a look on, but it doesn't always need treating. Next, we add a worry box. As you can see, it's got 8 bars in it. It's a pretty simple box, can be made with floorboards very cheaply. I tend to put at least 3 boxes on each hive. The bottom one is almost always empty and used as an entranceway, so I'll pop that one on. The bars themselves can be either flat like this, or as I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes, V-shaped, which is much easier for the bees to keep the comb in the right direction. We'll add a second box. The queen will be in the top box more likely than not, and this is where we're likely to start to get our first honey stores, as the queen lays in the top and the bees store below, the opposite way around to what most traditional beekeepers expect to see. So on goes the second box. You can see that they just sit on top of each other. They're very simple. On goes the third box. This is where we'd expect to put a queen. I'll talk about how we get queens in here a little bit later. But the top bars, as you can see, can be flat like this, which isn't very helpful for getting comb in the right place, or a V-shaped bar like this, which I much prefer. Worry didn't believe in having solid roofs. He wanted warm bees, but he wanted the hive to be able to breathe. So on the top goes a canvas above the bees. And to keep the hive warm is a quilt. It's just a wooden box with hessian tacked into it, and this one is full of hay and straw to keep the hive insulated. That goes on the top. You'll notice no queen excluder. And on top of that goes the roof. There's no need for a crown board on there. The bees are already down here. The roof is a solid roof inside. There are no gaps, there are no spaces, but there is a hollow space inside the top of the roof. And as you can see, that allows ventilation in the summer and is going to provide good insulation in the winter. And that's it. We've got one worry hive together. I thought it might be just worth demonstrating what's supposed to be impossible to do with a worry hive, and that's control swarming. So I'll show you how you go about doing it. It's really not very difficult, so it's surprising so many people think you can't do it. I've taken off the lid and the quilt, and normally with a lot of bees flying, you'd have a very well stacked down canvas cloth on the top. Peel that back pretty well and take it away. Have a very large, well lit smoker with plenty of smoke, and smoke down into the hive for quite a good long time between the bars until you've driven virtually all of the bees out of the top into the box below. You may need to prise the box apart just gently. Shouldn't be too difficult. Pick the box up, give it a good tap, and smoke down again. The aim is to drive not just the bees but the queen into the box below. As soon as you're happy you've got rid of almost all of the bees, just insert between the top box and the one beneath a queen excluder, put the lid back on, put the cover back on, and go away and just leave it overnight. Overnight the bees are not going to want to leave the brood in the top uncovered, so the house bees are going to work their way back up into the top. You'll have in here now brood, you'll have in eggs, larvae, no queen. In the bottom you've largely got flying bees and the queen. You've essentially got a traditional split. It's now possible a day later to take this box away to a different site, give it a new floor, give it a new roof, let it produce its queen cells and develop its own queen. And you can take that away as closer as far as you like, because there aren't many flying bees in there. Your flying bees are in here. I often at this stage actually lift this box up, put another box underneath, pop the lid back on. We know we've got a queen in here, we know we've got all the flying bees. Come back 2 weeks later and have a look to see how things are going. In here we should still have a laying queen. Hive should be doing very well. In the other one we should have seen sealed queen cells. Maybe by that stage you've even got a queen who's hatched. That's it. It's a simple process, nothing like as difficult as people say. So before we start looking inside a horizontal top bar hive, I thought I'd just show you a little bit of the equipment I use. For inspections I normally use a very long handled tool. Comes very cheap from Thorns because nobody seems to buy them, and in January they only cost a couple of pounds. I occasionally use an even longer tool made of a thickened wire with a sharpened end. Very useful inside a worry hive, less so in a top bar hive, but it's very useful for hooking down inside the hive and just freeing up some stuck comb. And a bread knife. Might seem like a strange tool, but this is perfect for cutting wax, particularly for harvesting honey, dealing with bars which are stuck together, because you can push this down and just slice a couple of bars apart. It seems to work very well indeed. I use smoke, but very rarely and very little. But when closing a hive, there's often a few bees on the bars, and one way to move them around is with a little bit of water spray, some mist, with a tiny amount of thymol in it. The bees not too keen on the thymol and move off very easily. Top bar hive beekeepers tend not to be very keen on using chemicals. One method I do use is icing sugar, and this is from Thorns. It pumps out icing sugar quite nicely into any kind of hive. Works in a traditional hive as well as a top bar hive, and is very successful. When I've got a new hive and it's all fresh wood, I really don't want my expensive bees absconding, so what I do is I save up my propolis, dissolve it in alcohol, and make up a sort of fairly thick varnish, which I apply inside any new hives, particularly inside brood boxes, applied not with a brush but with a cloth. It smells really quite strongly of propolis. Once you've put that inside a hive, it smells like a beehive, and it tends to keep your bees in there really quite well. And the last tip I've got from this is that top bar hives have a lot of little gaps and entrances through which it's possible to get wax moth. There are lots of joints between the hive, so I use B401 Sertan, mix it up with some water, spray it into the hive, spray it onto the comb. It's very successful. It's a biological side and a larvicide, so it kills the larvae of the wax moth, and is very, very useful. Also works in any hive. I'm not sure how easy it is for you to see inside this, but we're going to take a look inside a top bar hive now. This is one I'm just refurbishing through the winter, ready for use next spring. It's a good solid box. It's got 29 1.5 inch top bars inside it. It's pretty heavy, and the bees clearly move sideways and not vertically in this side. On this side, the back of the hive, the entrances, the other side facing away from me, are two holes at the ends, used for splitting colonies in the spring and early summer when you want to be able to deal with swarming. Otherwise, the entrance is always facing away from the side you carry out your inspection. This lid is hinged. That's quite important because lids on top bar hives tend to be very heavy. Underneath we've got our bars, and as I've described, we've got a follower board fitting tightly into the space. There's a Varroa mesh floor in the bottom with a floor insert which can be left in or taken out as you need, and can be used for counting Varroa. This is variable sized hives, so when it first starts off with a new colony, perhaps you start with a new swarm, you might start with 7 bars. Make sure that the hive is narrower this way than it is forward to back. That ensures that the bees follow very nicely the guide of the V in the top bar. You can see if I change old comb, take out old comb and put new, I leave a little bit behind, giving the bees a pretty clear idea of where to be able to put the comb for the next time they use it. Over a period of weeks, the bees expand very rapidly, and it's possible to move the follower back, add a couple more bars as the colony expands. Through the summer you might end up with really quite a large colony. Again, no queen excluder. The bees tend, don't always, but tend to keep the brood at one end with the queen and move away with the honey at the other end as they bring their stores in. Let's take quite a few bars out. I don't know whether you can see inside there well enough, but the entrance to the hive is not at the bottom, but there are 3 holes at the top and 1 at the bottom. This is because on the other side I've got a periscope entrance which ensures the bees land on a landing board low down, come up the back underneath a sheet of perspex and come into the hive at the top, keeping the hive warmer during the winter and making it very difficult for attacks by wasps later in the summer. Before we get out to the apiary, I thought I just might show you the periscope entrance. This is the opposite side of the box from the one I've been talking from. We inspect from the other side. When we're inspecting, the lid is up so you can see we're well protected from flying bees when we're doing an inspection. The bees come in here. There is 1 hole here right at the bottom down here and 3 holes at the top. During most of the year I keep the bottom hole with a cork in blocked up and the bees come in the top 3 holes. This is very, very useful. It means that bees in the winter are being kept warm. They're behind a sheet of perspex. The hive isn't being hit by high drafts and winds, and the bees can come in and out the top holes. So we're going to have a quick look inside this worry hive. It started in the spring as a set off another hive. It's not been going that long, but it's filled itself into 2 boxes. It may need a bit of extra feed, but it looks to me like it's doing okay. Right, we're going to go around the other side and I'll take the top off. Okay, we're going to take the canvas off. It's usually stuck down pretty solid, but I had a peek a couple of minutes ago. You can see this one has got quite a lot of propolis stuck on the back of it. We'll just take it halfway back, which is pretty full in here. It's late on now, it's September, so we're going to find some stores, a reduced amount of brood, a single bar. We're going to gently prise it out. A little bit of spray, calm them down. Here we go, out comes the bar. Now you can see, I've already done something that many people say you can't do with a top bar. We've taken a frame out. This bar has got plenty of stores on it, as we can see. We handle it very, very gently, and we can turn it over. Let's turn it up the other way. And we can begin to have a look at it. There we are, plenty of stores in there. I can hold it and handle it. It's quite old comb, it's been around during the season, so not a problem handling it. I'm not going to go prizing dozens of these out because I know the brood is in the next couple of bars and I don't particularly want to make that go cold at this time of the day, but we can gently slot it back in. There we go. Just give ourselves a bit of space. As you can see, this is a periscope entrance. You can see the bees landing on the landing board at the bottom and going up behind. The middle hole at the bottom is blocked with a cork. It's a very successful method of keeping wasps out in the autumn and keeping the hive warm. Okay, we're going to go around the other side and we'll open the lid up. Okay, the lid is hinged. We'll be very gentle, but it should come up nice and easily, and it does. Right, as I said, we've got follower boards here and here, bars in between. Brood is here, there's some stores here and there's some stores here. The little bits of green wire, are where I took a split off the worry hive earlier in the summer and attached the worry hive bars to the bottom of my top bars. So, to give ourselves a little bit of room to work, we're going to take out one empty bar that I know is here. a couple of bees have got round the edge of the end, but there's nothing to worry about there. Give ourselves a little bit of room. Yep, here's our follower board. So we'll just gently prise the follower board to one side. We're not going to lift it out, we're just going to lift it a little bit to one side. That's probably enough. Don't want to be letting lots of light inside the hive. Then we'll lift the next one. I know, yep, I widened this about a week ago, and I know there's not much on there. I don't like to give them lots and lots of space here. Maybe a touch of water mist. More than enough. Okay, so we come to the first bar. Here it is. These are 19-inch bars. These are a bit bigger than the standard bars that many people use. They're a little bit longer. Out comes this fairly new comb. They're beginning to build with putting some stores away in mind. Plenty of bees here. These balance rather nicely on top of the bars to one side, so we'll put that there while we work our way through the rest of the hive. Okay, just move the bars apart gently. Stuck down by propolis in many cases. You can see we can lift it out. Yep, and it's possible to take a pretty decent look at that. We can, if we are very careful, turn them over without doing any damage. We can see stores, we can see bees, and you can see this lovely catenary shaped comb. It's not perfectly flat and straight as if it were in the frame, but the bees manage this very well indeed. I'm going to pop that back. I'm not going to take them all out as we go. Next one, just lift a few out as we move along. You can see plenty of stores coming in here, a bit of pollen. Lots of bees though, lots of bees. We jiggle the bars up and down as we put them back together again. We don't crush too many bees. Same again here, out it comes. Yeah, we can see some brood in here. Very nice brood pattern. Pretty typical of a top bar hive. Brood in the middle, stores to the top right and top left. Empty at the bottom where there's brood, often filled right in the middle of summer. These may or may not put some stores in there. We can take a look at the other side. You can see you can turn comb if you're very careful in a top bar hive. You're not stuck with being able to turn the comb. Then we'll gently jiggle the bars without crushing any bees. Yeah, very good. There we go. Here's one more. You can see on here where I inserted a top bar from a warray hive underneath the wire, and they've very successfully welded it in. Still plenty of brood late on in the year. And the same the other side. Yep. Looks like it could do with a bit more stores in this hive, I suspect. We'll just take a look at one more. Out it comes. They're still fairly calm. We can see this was another one that was put in from the warray hive. Quite a nice frame, slotted in, absolutely solid. Yeah, very good. And this shape is really good. Typically when you get to May and you get the swarming season, you don't get swarm cells on the face of the comb at all, or very rarely. Most of the swarm cells are down the ends of the comb, down the side here, so you can see them very easily. It makes cutting them out and transferring them to another hive very easy, and it makes splits very easily. So let's see if we can put all this back together without crushing too many bees. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Put that in there. We'll put the follower board in the end. Put in our... Oh no, we've got one bar left to go back that we took out over here. We'll just put this back. Yep, not too much damage there. In comes our top bars. These often need to be tightened up, so a quick twist tightens them up enough to get all the bars back flat. Yep, that looks pretty good to me. But when it comes to swarming in the spring, it's possible to split a colony very quickly in a top bar. While we're here, I'll show you how you do it. If you can find your queen, it's very easy. Put your queen in a queen cage, put her to one side, take all of the brood out of your middle bars and put half on the left and half on the right of your follower board. These are solid boards. Put your queen back in with some new bars and maybe with a little bit of comb with some stores in, but not very much. You've then got in the middle your flying bees returning, and on the outside of both sides you've got the majority of your house bees. You take the cork out of here, one in each corner, and you take the corks out, and as the bees develop you're going to get and hatch, you're going to get flying bees coming out of here, but in the meantime any flying bees which you've trapped in here can fly and return right round to the front, and you can do the same the other end. So initially your flying bees come out of here and return to the queen. Later on your emerging workers come out of here and go foraging. So you've got a three-way split. You've then got a choice about what you do about it. Do you move these in at one end into another hive, or do you kill out your old queen and let the best of the two queens you've got to take over the hive?